Lumpy Pear's Amazing Adventure Episode 22. We have waited a long time for this episode, haven't we?
Yeah. A long.
Well, instead of waking up, we join in progress a conversation between Lumpy and the Enderman King and Big Trouble. And believe it or not, Daydream and Nightmare walked slowly up right next to Lumpy and sat like dogs sit. They were watching Trouble, and they wanted to be like Trouble because they saw that Trouble was a friend of Lumpy's. And they knew if it was a friend of Lumpy's, they could trust Trouble, which they could. Because Trouble was, even though he was a bit rowdy, he was a good dog. Even if he was a giant good dog. Now, you want to know something? Yeah. But he still acted like a puppy, even though he was that big. Well, the Enderman King and Lumpy were speaking. Lumpy explained all of his concerns to the Enderman King, which the Enderman King understood. And then the Enderman King said, "Lumpy, let me tell you a few things about what is happening. The Enderman people have great knowledge and power. And it is this great knowledge and power that has allowed us to learn to do so many things. But what happens when you get knowledge and power? You get to choose to do good things, or you get to choose to do evil things."
That's in real life too.
That's in real life. That's right. Well, if it didn't happen with us Endermen first, it would have happened somewhere else. It is inevitable that when a species or a race or a group of people get knowledge and power, somebody will use it for good and somebody will choose to do evil with it. And so what is happening in our world is actually coming to yours as you see. But it could have happened with humans first. If humans had all the knowledge and all the power, you would see good versus evil starting there. But it started with us, the Endermen. And while it doesn't seem like this is your battle, Lumpy, it is. It's everybody's battle. We gave you special knowledge and power along with your friends. And so now it's your choice what to do with it. If you choose to stay here, which, believe me, I understand. If you choose to stay here, you will see your whole village destroyed by evil. Maybe not evil Endermen, but evil men. Because all that it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. That's all it takes, Lumpy. And I've asked for your help, and it is your choice. When Lumpy heard those words, all it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. He thought that sounded familiar, even though he never heard it before. Maybe it's just because it's true. Lumpy looked up at the Enderman King. "You're right, I do need to choose. And I can't be selfish. I've had so many good things happen in my life, and I want good things to happen for everybody. I'll come back with you, Enderman King. Very well, the Enderman King said. But I'd like to bring Trouble with me. I think he'd be great help. I think you're right, the Enderman King said. Take my hand and put your arm around Daydream and Nightmare, and I'll hold on to Trouble's fur, the Enderman King said. As long as he doesn't bite me again. As he rubbed his arm, it was still a little sore. And I will use my powers. We can make it back to Anderson Town, which is not far from the Ender Portal. So they all stood next to each other and held hands and teleported. They didn't land in Anderson Town immediately, but Lumpy recognized where they were. It was the big canyon where the skeletons were. And then they teleported again. Boom. Right in the middle of Anderson Town. And it was still nighttime. Lumpy said, I'll see you in the morning, okay? I'm pretty tired. Enderman King said, of course. Lumpy brought Nightmare and Daydream into the stable. And of course, Trouble followed and just kind of rolled around on the grass in the stable. And Lumpy snuck quietly. Everybody was asleep. And he wanted to do a little joke. So he snuck quietly in bed as if nothing happened. As if he never left. And he fell asleep. Sure enough, as the sun came up, Anderson was screaming and running, and big thump sounds woke up Lumpy. Kitty Ranger and Sir Joseph grabbed their weapons and ran outside. Lumpy just laid there laughing in bed. He could hear that Trouble was barking. He just wanted to play. And he ran up and caught up to Anderson and knocked him on the ground and stuck out his big slobbery tongue and licked him from his feet all the way to his face. A big, slimy doggy kiss. Just one. Lumpy just laughed and laughed. He was looking out the window. Anderson screamed, "Ah, so gross!" Kitty Ranger and Sir Joseph just started laughing. They could tell that it was a friendly beast, whatever it was. James and Logan dug a hole straight out from the ground and popped their heads up. What's going on up here? Our whole tunnel collapsed. Ah! And then they ducked back down. And Juliet Caesar and Princess Sydney and Avery said, "It's a dog." Other people said, "There's no way that's a dog." Lumpy walked out into the street. Anderson was getting up, trying to wipe off all the slime, flicking it from his hands. It was so gross. I see you guys found my puppy. Your what? They didn't even think about the fact that Lumpy was gone. Your puppy? That's your puppy? Kitty Ranger said, "Hey, wait a second. What are you doing here? Where were you?" I'll tell you about that later. But we need to prepare. Or at least I do. Is anybody coming with me through the Ender Portal? Again, everybody kind of rolled their eyes and looked around. They didn't want to go through the Ender Portal, and who could blame them? Yeah, sure. We'll be with you there, Lumpy. Okay, good, because we're going tonight. Tonight? That's right. That night, Lumpy held a meeting and told everybody that was there what he talked about with the Enderman King, about good and evil, and how if you get power, then you get to choose what to do with that power. And Lumpy decided he wanted to do good and help the Enderman King take back his kingdom, because it would spread if they didn't do something. And so, just as he finished talking, the Enderman King appeared. He said, "Lumpy, it's time. It's time to go into the Ender Portal. Please follow me, and we'll go." The other 11 rulers of the Endermen were there with him. We just need to throw this Eye of Ender, and it will make a trail to follow that will take us to the portal. And off they went to the portal. Everybody followed, of course. And they had to dig underground, and there it was. A big doorway to another realm. The end. Lumpy swallowed. He drew his sword and said, "For good." And he jumped into the portal. Everybody stood around looking. What do we do? I don't know. We should have given him some potions or something. Yeah, Lumpy didn't want to take potions with him. He had a bag of things, some of the things that he collected on his way. But everybody looked at each other. What do we do? What do we do? As they were sitting there thinking about what to do, Lumpy was on the other side. He landed and he looked around. It was the darkest, loneliest place he had ever seen. And he could see Endermen everywhere. And off in the distance, he heard a loud shriek. It was the Ender Dragon. He didn't see him yet. And the Ender Dragon didn't see Lumpy. All of a sudden, the Enderman looked over and discovered Lumpy. in their evil realm. Evil was so thick you could feel it. It felt like it was pushing Lumpy to the ground. He drew his sword, and Enderman came closer and closer. Meanwhile, on the other side of the portal, everybody was standing around thinking, is this the way it was supposed to go? Should we be in there with him? And then there was a big boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden, the roof of the Ender portal opened up. It was Trouble. And Trouble knew that Lumpy was in trouble. Everybody could see Trouble's big fat snout, dog nose, sticking and sniffing as he dug through the dirt so he could fit and see what was going on. And he looked at the portal and he jumped right in it. Except he was so big that as he jumped through it, the Ender portal broke and turned off. And everything except Trouble's tail made it through the portal. Trouble made it through the end on the other side and yelped so loud he lost his big wiggly tail. And have you ever seen a lizard lose its tail? The same thing happened to Trouble's tail. When a lizard loses its tail, it flips around and wiggles. And that's what happened in the Ender chamber, where the Ender portal was. It was hitting everybody in the face, a big furry floppy tail. So now Trouble was a bobtailed dog. Everybody on the other side was screaming, ah, ha, 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 there's a big dog tail attacking us. And it's kind of gross. And it ruined the Ender portal. Trouble saw Lumpy swinging his sword, surrounded by Endermen. And he growled his teeth and snarled and ran over and just plowed right into him. Endermen went flying everywhere. Trouble bit an Enderman and launched him in the air and jumped and swallowed it whole. Trouble just ate an Enderman. All of the other Endermen saw what happened and took off. Oh, Trouble, thank you so much. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was totally outnumbered. It's so good to see you. What happened to your tail? Trouble wasn't worried about it. He was just slobbering, licking, kissing Lumpy. Except not as bad as he slobbered all over Anderson. Well, it looks like the Ender portal closed. I think we're stuck here. We better come up with a plan. So they went and hid behind a rock. Meanwhile, back in the Minecraft realm, Anderson and Kitty Ranger and Julius Caesar and Sir Joseph Avery and Sydney, James and Logan, and Torchy were scrambling, looking for all the pieces to put it back together. Of course, the good Enderman, helped fix the portal as fast as they could, or try to fix it. They hoped that it would work. And just as they found all the blocks and put them back, and the eyes of Ender and put them back, James looked at one of the eyes of Ender. It was cracked. He put it in, and it started to flicker. What does flicker mean? It means it kind of went, the Ender portal would appear and disappear, and appear and disappear, and appear and disappear. So it wasn't working all the way. Dun, 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 dun. And that's the end of episode 22.